What's going on, everybody? I'm Scott Oots, and today I am bringing you guys one of my friends out of Arizona. He happens to share a badass name with me. Welcome, Scott Bauer. How's it going, brother?
Dude, I'm doing so well. It's been a phenomenal year. How you doing?
Oh, it's Q4, man. Got to end the year, and we got to have that crystal ball as to what's going to happen next year at this point. So, yeah, tell me how business was for you this year.
So surprising. Well, kind of surprising to me. This is the best year we've ever had. From a revenue standpoint, from a deal flow standpoint, from a looking at other ways to monetize different deals standpoint. We've incorporated in creative financing, incorporated in creating notes. That's pretty exciting moving into 2021, and also building out the team more to be more. To spend some time to really analyze what we had and how do we 10x from there? How do we go and increase everything from there? So the year's been phenomenal. It really, really has. It's been good to look back and kind of see that although everything is burning down around us, we've been crushing it.
So that's really interesting to hear you say, because there's been a lot of these I've done lately where every person I've talked to has said 2020 has been one of the best years, or the best year they've had in business. And I'm in the same boat, man. This year, we shattered records. And let's be honest, it was touch and go for about a month there earlier this year. And we're like, holy crap, what's going to happen? But so far, everyone I've known that stuck with it pulled out of this, like, I hate to use the word unscathed, because there's definitely a lot of things that have happened, but pulled out of it successful. Now, let's just get it out there. When COVID first hit this year, there was that moment that hit every one of us that we said, oh my God, what is going to happen? Now, give me kind of a rundown when this was first announced and kind of what happened to your business. Did you see a drop at that point and an immediate recovery, or what happened with you?
So funny enough, actually, we'll start back in January. Going into December of last year, this time exactly last year, my entire team quit. Weirdly enough, they all quit. They all went. There was four other people. They all went in different directions for different reasons, and it all happened right after our holiday party last year. So when I started January of last year, we had nine deals on the books to get the year started, which was good. But I started off back as a lone wolf by myself, and so I said, okay, I got to start. This is actually probably a good thing. I'm gonna reanalyze. Did I need all those people? Was there what was the right course of action to get my year started? And so I ended up hiring Natalie, who's in the other room here, who runs pretty much all the back end stuff for me now. But that was January, the end of January, she started. February happened. And then the end of February, I went to the Dominican Republic for a bachelor party situation. We had deals that were going on. And that was right when COVID really hit. Matter of fact, when I was coming back from that trip, like there was all sorts of stuff going on in the airports, like COVID here, COVID there, all these signs. And it was like, what the hell is going to happen? So at that point in time, we were like, nobody knew. So what did I do? I doubled down. We actually increased everything, all the revenue that we were spending for marketing. I was like, let's just get it out there and see what happens, which I think was a really good thing because we skyrocketed from there. We really, really did. And it was really consistent from that point on. I think it was March was a good month because we had everything set up from January and February that was closing in March. And I think we locked up 5 or 6 in March to get, keep April moving strong. But it was nobody knew what was going on. I was leaning on some of my mentors and people to say, hey, what do you think we should do? And their answer was like, well, just increase marketing spend. There's people in need right now. So maybe you could be that resource for them. And so that's exactly what we did. And I'm glad that we did that.
So that's very similar to what we did. I got to say, when the lockdown started, because California went more into a lockdown than Arizona did, right? That I swear, anything happens here, they take our freedom away. But basically, when we went into this lockdown, they told all of us, basically, come out of your house, you're shot. That's a little extreme, but you understand the point. So we were all basically in our homes, and I said, forget it, man. Like, I got to go to the office. And my COO and me and my dispo guy were here because we found those being the 3 roles that were so important at that point. And the reason dispo was part of that is because we had over $600,000 in the pipeline at that point assigned to buyers. And then all of a sudden the buyers are calling us screaming the world's on fire and like, I need to cancel, I need to cancel, I need to cancel. We're just like, oh my gosh. So it was a stressful, couple weeks as we dealt with that. But then when people started seeing, hey, the world's not burning, we started coming back around and you started seeing these buyers, hey, instead of giving you my EMD, can I go ahead and just come back into the deal? And, we started seeing an improvement from there. But since that moment, it's been a constant improvement. And it's been absolutely crazy to see what this year has actually ended up to be. It's killer. But one thing I want to talk about real quick is you said something that I think a lot of people have encountered that would make most people give up. And you said your entire team quit. Now, dude, most people would say, all right, me as an entrepreneur, don't take this the wrong way, me as an entrepreneur doing something wrong. Why would my team just leave? But it sounds like it turned out better for you. So when all this happened, why don't you tell people kind of what your feelings were at this time? And, did you feel like you failed? What did you feel like when your team decided to leave?
So great question. And, there were mixed emotions there. One, I put a lot into developing the team at that point last year. But two, I don't think I had the right people on the bus, right? So they didn't quit because, we had some miscommunication or they hated what they were doing. They quit because they weren't the right people for the job. Mm-hmm. One of them went to go work for ASU. One of them went to go work. She was my admin, and that just wasn't her role. So she went to go work for a company that does interior design. That was more her thing. Another sales guy he couldn't cut it. It just wasn't for him, right? And so they did the right people on the bus. And so when I realized it, took a step back and said, okay, because at first it's like, yeah, what did I do? How could I have fixed this problem? What could I have done better? What I found out was that there wasn't really anything I could have done better, just wasn't the right fit. And so in moving forward, I was able to kind of say, let me look and see who needs to be on the bus, make sure to put those people in there first. And that's what we're doing.
Okay. So as far as like those people not being in the right seats, so obviously hiring is one of those things that a lot of people struggle with because there's multiple ways to hire. There is taking your time and trying to hire the right people, which still doesn't work out sometimes, or there's hurrying to hire because people want to develop a team because honestly, it makes them feel like a business owner. Now, let's talk about your hiring process now that you've gotten past, what happened and you've started to rehire now. What would you say you do the most when trying to hire people to make sure they are going to fit long term?
So it depends on the role, right? If we're going after sales guys, it's a different type of candidate than somebody who's an admin or somebody that's in the back end that's running operations, or even a dispo guy, to be honest. I think a dispo guy needs to have some sales experience so he understands the front end of the process. But, overall, it depends on the role. So let's talk about sales guys, right? Because sales guys are one of those things where, in my experience, you're kind of giving everybody a shot. Here are the expectations. And it's not even about like, are you good at sales? It's can you follow procedure and process? Can you do what I tell you to do? Because if you do what I tell you to do, you'll find success. Sales is not, it's not rocket science. I mean, let's be real. It's really not. It's being on the phone with the right person at the right time and being able to solve a problem for them that they couldn't otherwise solve. So sales guys, it's kind of like, come in. I want you to, follow. This is what I expect from you. If you do these things, you'll achieve these results and, you'll work out. What happens is a lot of people don't follow through, right? They're supposed to, for an example, everybody that comes in for 3 hours in the morning, they're on the phone, they're cold calling, they're dialing out, they're finding new opportunities for those 3 hours. If you can't follow that rule, it's simple, you're out. It's not going to work, period. I mean, it's not that hard. And yes, it gets repetitive. And yes, it's not always that fun. And some days, every single person you talk to is like, go pound sand. I hate you. What are you calling me for? We're going to sue you. All of the above. But you know what? That's what it takes. And I had to do that. You had to do that. Everybody who's successful in business has to do that. So if you can't follow that rule, you're out. If we're looking at more of an admin or more of like an operations type role, now I want to find out more of who they are, right? Are they organized? Are they able to, have they in the past shown examples of where they've been able to organize an organization or be able to plan things out, have some foresight on things, etc. They're a different type of person that I'm looking for. And that's where things like the predictive index or a disc test is going to have more relevance than somebody who's going to be there for a sales guy. Hope that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. And I mean, I think I don't want to say there's a right way and a wrong way to hire, because everyone has their different way of doing things, and it all depends on what type of team you're trying to build, right? I might hire completely different than you would hire on something, and I might have that person see success on my team, but you're going to have somebody you hire with a completely different predictive index or something that's going to have success on your team, and this person from my team may not work on your team, and vice versa. It all depends on management styles and how the business is run on a daily basis. And hiring is one of those things that, I mean, I kind of enjoy it in a way, just because you get to see how people are. You get to give people chances to almost change their life with some of these positions, because let's be honest, these sales positions are not a $30,000 a year position. I mean, most of my sales guys, they need to make six figures. If they don't make six figures, they're not doing their job. I mean, that's really where we're at. So it's kind of cool to see some of these people come in that have made 30 grand a year in the past and come in and start making $100,000 a year. That's exciting to see. But hiring also, on the other hand, is a pain in the ass, because it takes time. Half the people lie during the interviews or lie on their resumes. I mean, let's be honest about that. Hiring can be one of those things that just can be a pain in the ass. I like it, but I don't like it. You know, if I knew that 100% of the people would show up to interviews, 100% I'd like it. But what I hate, you schedule 3 interviews in a day and 2 don't show up. Yep. It's like, what is wrong with people? But right now, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so like one of the biggest things that I think will help combat that is just like finding mentors in business when you're trying to start a business. It's finding mentors or finding groups, people that have done what you want to do, and just asking for help, right? So for all the listeners listening to this call right now, I just recently joined Scott's mastermind. We met at a mastermind before. But I'm excited to be part of that, because there's people I know in that group that have what I'm searching for. And so I think that being part of that group is going to elevate me up to be able to, be better at hiring, be better at building the systems and processes around hiring, and ultimately having a business that operates correctly, And so I think you shouldn't be afraid to ask for help. A lot of people are, for whatever reason. I don't know if that's just ingrained in our mind when we're kids or what, but in order to be successful, sometimes you have to.
And that I have to repeat part of that, because that's so true. And it almost comes down to vulnerability. You have to be vulnerable to be successful. And we've both been in masterminds, we've been in masterminds together. And I mean, dude, I've sat there and had 45, 50-year-old men crying because their business is getting ready to go under. Now, I'm not mentioning their names, because that is the value of a mastermind. You don't do that. We don't judge anyone in that room that is getting upset over something. That's passion, right? They're so passionate about their business and where their business that is their life, right? And they don't want it to go down. They don't want the ship to go down. They don't want to screw over employees, all this kind of stuff. Once you get to know your employees like family, the last thing you want to do is let anyone go, right? It's got to be a last resort. And the last thing you want to do is see the business go down. And that's why we go to things like masterminds like this, because there's probably 1,000 mistakes I have in my future right now that I could probably avoid half of those by going to a mastermind. And that is, I mean, dude, we're going to Miami. It is Miami, right? Miami next month. And that will be your first one. And the first one, man, they're going to eat you alive. See, right there is the entrepreneur attitude. I love it. And they will eat you alive. And what's going to be so great about it is nothing with disrespect. And you know that. It's about, hey, here are the things that we're doing that you've missed over the last 4 years in our mastermind. And we're going to bring you up to speed on that in about 30 minutes by just tearing apart your presentation and telling you what it is we're doing. But on the other hand, the stuff that you're going to present, probably half of that's going to be stuff that we've never heard of or we don't do. So being able to share with each other and grow each other's businesses, that hour or whatever you're going to end up having at that point, you're going to share as much with everyone else as they will with you. And that is what's so exciting about that. So masterminds, I highly recommend them. We Were Products, both REWW, all their stuff they had in the past. I think they still have those. But we were products of that. We met at Billionaire Boardroom. It was ran by Sean Terry, Kent Clothier, and we had a good time. Hung out in Mexico. That's where I met you and your now fiance. So now it's, we're all growing. It's amazing to see where people have been. And I think what I'm excited about is actually hearing where your business is now compared to where it was last time we sat in a room together. And it's been a while. So
now there was another part that I want to touch on, which is, you kind of mentioned it before, and it is work-life balance. So you talk about how, some of these entrepreneurs, people out there, their business, that have sat in your room, or you've talked to, entrepreneurs before where, they get really emotional about their business because their life is their business. And that is the truth. When you're building and you're passionate about your business in order to really succeed and provide a life for your family, I don't think that there is that work-life balance. I mean, there's, my business is my life. That's what I choose to do because it gives me exactly what I need, right? It gives me a sense of purpose. It gives me a return on my time. It gives me a life for my family and my future family to be able to live at the best and possible life they could ever live, right? And so in order to do that, in order to get that, there is no really work-life balance. It's all one. It's all one and the same. And there are people out there that I think try to start a business that don't understand that concept and really try to separate the two. And what happens is, you can't really do that, right? Those businesses end up failing. So, and then they wonder why. And the reason is because you got to be committed. You got to be all in. You got to do what you got to do to continually get better at business.
And you nailed something there too that I want to expand on is, I think it is okay to try to separate work and home, but the thing is you shouldn't want to. I mean, you need to be able to go home and talk to your significant other, talk to them about your day without that person pushing back and saying, oh God, business again, right? And so my wife she's probably half part of my business, if even that now. I mean, she's pulled out of it a lot. She doesn't come into the office, but she does some of our analytics stuff because I am not an analytical person and I can't sit and look at data and I can't do it. Like you put that in front of me, dude, I quit, I'm out. So she does that stuff, but we go home and find that over the past few years, a lot of our conversations over having dinner and things like that end up being about work. And a lot of people say, well, you have to separate that. But here's where I agree with you is if we love what we're doing and we're passionate about what we're doing, it's not work to us, right? It is life. That's what we enjoy doing. And we go on vacations, we have a great time. But I think where we see a lot of entrepreneurs struggle is when their spouse is not in support of what they're doing. And when they come home, so like if you said, hey, let's say Courtney wasn't in support of what you were doing, and every day you went home, you sat at dinner with her, and she didn't want to hear about your work at all. Like, that would be tough on you guys, right? So you look at that and say, if you go at home and you could not share your day, that's not okay. And I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs really fail. But talking about work-life balance and even bringing it home, dude, you've done some big stuff lately, right? In your personal life. You bought a house, you fully remodeled, and that thing looks badass, by the way. I love that new refrigerator you guys got that you could literally be inside of. That thing is awesome. You've remodeled your entire house. You basically have a daughter now. I mean, dude, that is so cool. You have so much going on in your life. You're gonna get married. So what this shows is, well, work-life balance, you bring work home with you, you also find time for life. And
absolutely. Dude, like if there wasn't room for vacations and one of the things that this business allows me to do and us to do is to travel the world. If it wasn't for COVID last year, in 2019, or COVID this year, I guess, 2019, we went somewhere every month, right? And most of the time, these were 100% business expensed trips, right? Because we know how to I know how to utilize the business, and it allows for new memories to be made, and it allows for experiences that we wouldn't otherwise have. And we're also achieving business at the same time because it's what I love to do and we love to do, right? I mean, I'm excited to go to Miami at the end of next month because it's, not only is it going to be a phenomenal time with a new group of people, but it's also going to Miami. It's a great time, and you just can't beat that. That's one of the best things I like about business.
Yeah, and I mean, you nailed it, man. You get to see a lot of things. And like you talk about traveling in 2019, I feel like I was on a plane, like I was going to events and speaking, I was going to masterminds, I was going to all those things. And I feel like I was on a plane like every 2 to 3 weeks. And what was weird is my wife got used to me being gone, right? So 2020, our thing was, dude, I was gone so much in 2019, and then 2020 just stopped. And I'm like, all right, this is what it's like to be home again all day, every day, and it's something to get used to again. And it was definitely strange at first because she's like, all right, when are you leaving? And it's good for a marriage. It's good for a marriage. It's good for a relationship. Spend time apart, right? But, you look at that, like 2020 definitely brought that on. We're like, oh, man, I'm literally home every night. So it's a little different. But, vacations are so important when we look at this stuff because you have to take a break and celebrate the wins. Now, there's a big difference between going on vacation you can expense on the business and buying a Lamborghini for $300,000 just to take pictures with it, right? So I think there's a way people can balance how it is they're spending, assets and memories versus liabilities. And I look at vacations as memories, and that's what that is. You get one chance at making memories. You never know how much longer you got. So you got to get out there.
Amen to that. One of the things, there's an ROI associated with the vacations that we go on, right? So there's a huge ROI. If I spend $10,000 to go on a vacation in the Caribbean with a group of mastermind people, I know that 10 grand hopefully is going to have a 10x approach to it or 10x effect, right? Or at least I'm gonna double, triple, quadruple at least what I learned in that mastermind in order to grow my business that much more. And so the ROI on going on vacation, I mean, think about that. If you look at it like that, as instead of spending money to go on vacation, I'm actually investing money to go on vacation because I'm going to have an ROI on it. That's like just change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change, right?
Yep. So let's talk about something that I hear a lot of gurus talk about. And I'm curious to see what your opinion is on this. So a lot of gurus, including one that we've been in a mastermind with in the past, always says, grow your business so you can escape it and you can get out. What are your thoughts on that from an entrepreneur's perspective?
So, I mean, there's definitely false information there, right? A truly passive where you're not involved completely at all type of business is a failing business. Nobody cares about your business as much as you. And I don't care if they are the top executive for your business. They're not your business. And so, having key people in place, I think, is important, and they are direct reports to you as the owner. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you can't totally escape all of it, and nor should you want to. I mean, that's the whole point of it, right? I mean, I choose the business that I'm in because I enjoy it, and if I didn't like it, I wouldn't do it, right? And so, in order for I just don't think that's right at all. I think that there are certain things that you shouldn't be doing as a business owner, and that is better suited for somebody else, like sales, like dispo, like, admin stuff, bookkeeping. These things you should not be doing as a business owner, but you definitely should have at least a direct report who does tell you what's going on.
Mm-hmm. So I completely agree. And I think I've heard that from a lot of people, man. And I'm just, every time someone says that, I just go, oh my God, stop. Like, there are people that go out there and build businesses to have somebody run them and then go build another business. I've seen that happen. But to me, man, you look at like the business we have, and I've been on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean talking on my phone saying, hey, what's going on? Like, I'm going to go on vacation and I'm going to separate myself. My team in most cases are not reaching out to me. But the way I always tell my team is, hey, if it's going to cost me money, reach out to me. I don't want to come back in a surprise from that. And I think there's that work-life balance, and there's the ability to have someone step in and be a key player in your business. But like you already said it, you are the business owner, and you are the one that's going to ultimately pay the price if something's not done right. and not done to the way you would do it. And it's a tough situation to be in some cases. So,
Well, ultimately, it's just like I'm getting involved with Robert Kiyosaki's CPA right now, Tom Wheelwright, and like he has a great podcast out there as well. It's called Wealthability. I recommend everybody listen to it. But anyways, it's just kind of like your taxes. You could read as much as you want. You could have an advisor tell you about how to reduce your taxes, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to reduce your own taxes. And the same thing goes with owning a business and running it profitably and correctly and long term, right? Like you can have tons of people involved and mentors are telling you what to do, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to make sure that it runs correctly. And so that means that if you have a lot of direct reports that are underneath of you that are running different parts of your operation, you need to make sure that, like, without you being there, most likely those people are going to fail. You got to be a leader.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's very true. So we have obviously a lot of people that watch this that are beginners. We have people that watch this that are trying to grow to the point where you and I are at right now. And, they sit and watch YouTube video after YouTube video. They maybe have bought a few little coaching programs and things like that. As far as somebody like trying to get started, if you had advice for those people and they were at the point we were 4 years ago, right? But this day and age where we are, what type of advice would you give these people before they go out and start really trying to build this?
Probably two things. It's kind of twofold. Number one, action will always trump knowledge. Like going out there and going through the motion and taking action on something will always lead you to a result that's better than reading a book and finishing the book, right? The other thing is kind of what I touched on before, which is get a mentor, get somebody who is doing exactly what you want to do or where you want to go, and go hire that person to help you get to where they're at. Because as soon as you hire them to help you get to where they're at, now all of a sudden you have the opportunity to go above where they're at, right? You get from one stepping stone to the next. That was one big thing for me that allowed for crazy success at the beginning, was getting around other people and hiring people, spending time or spending money, investing in myself by investing in these coaches, mentors, and mastermind groups that has allowed me to really build this business and to see what's possible. And to be completely transparent, this business has given me more already than I ever thought that I would get. And I'm 32 years old. This is something that is, it has changed my life for the better by far.
Yeah. And so there's a question somebody asked me at one point, and I want to ask you the same question. Do you ever fear that it will all go away?
Of course.
That's something that gets on your mind every once in a while. I said the same thing. I said, yes. Of course, that's a fear that's always there.
There's an edge though, right? So yes, of course, it's always a fear, but that keeps me going, right? So that's going to in order for me to make sure that does not happen, that fear has to be in the back of everybody's mind, right? You have to have a little bit of, now, do I really think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. This business has given me skills that nobody can ever take away from me again. Therefore, I know that no matter what happens in our economy, who our president is, if there's terrorist attacks, if there is, we are in an industry for real estate that is a basic human need, which is shelter. So there will always be a way that we can monetize figuring out how to put deals together and solve problems for people that is profitable for us. That is something that nobody can take this away, period. If my whole team quits again and, it's back down to just me by myself, so be it. I'll figure it out because I've already done it before. And I think that if there's any entrepreneurs that I know, everybody has a little chip on their shoulder of like, how do I make sure that I don't lose it? Right. And the people that don't have the chip on the shoulder ultimately do lose it. Right. Those are the people that take their eye off the ball. The ones that do not, they stop investing in themselves, stop investing in masterminds, stop investing, stop learning. They think that, oh, I figured it out, I don't need to learn anymore. Those are the people that fail.
Yeah. So I guess what you're saying is be prepared, plan for the worst, and hopefully it doesn't happen, but, avoid it at all costs, and you're right. They can take our businesses away at any moment, but they're not going to take away the knowledge. And I agree with you 100%. It's a great industry to be in. And when someone asked me that question first, I was like, man, that's a good question. It really is a good question. And that one made me kind of think, is I didn't want to just spit out a response, because of course I think about that every once in a while, right? When we have a bad month or it's just not where it needs to be. And a bad month to me used to be a negative month. A bad month to me now is like 80 to 90 grand, because I'm like, dude, why is income so low? Because our expenses now are heavier.
Here's another resolution to that, though. So, everybody's heard of multiple streams of income, right? So that if you have one main horse, and if that horse doesn't perform, then you lose the race. But if I have, maybe horse isn't the right analogy, but if I have multiple things that are kicking off cash flow every single month, I can have a bad month in one, but it's going to be offset by another. And so the more things I can stack, the better it is. Rentals, wholesale business, fix and flips, notes, title company, all of these things now kick off cash flow every month. Therefore, I'm not as worried when, there's a down month in one sector, because I know that it's being offset by another. And I think that that's something that people should take very seriously, because, if you have to, when you're first starting out, you got to put all your eggs in one basket to begin. You have to, because you got to be committed. But from there are several different legs that you can break off into to make sure that, you have multiple streams of income coming in at any given time.
Mm-hmm. And let's make sure everyone really understood that one, because I've seen so many people try to start, and they don't start like this, they start like this. And that's the thing, is you've got to focus on something to get started and prove that model. Don't try to start 4 businesses at one time and then all of a sudden you're like, where's all my time go, right? It's gone. You don't have time to focus. And then you start to see each one of those businesses go down. So you mentioned lots of different things you're doing. So if you could give someone kind of a quick summary of, wholesale, fix and flip, what is it that you're doing primarily in your business, and what's your kind of first, second, third, fourth?
Yeah, so we direct to seller. We're marketing heavily in direct mail, Google AdWords, pay-per-click, some Facebook marketing, although we're still trying to test out how to really maximize that the best. So we're going direct to consumer to find opportunities. The first opportunity is, how do we wholesale the deal to get the quick money? But if that doesn't work, would it be better to fix and flip it? Is it something right now where we've been out in the marketplace? If it's not a simple carpet paint, we're not moving walls, we're not doing anything extravagant within the deal. But if it's an easy fix and flip that we can make 25 grand or more on, then we'll do that. Is it a rental? But also right now we're not really doing that, because I think now is not a time to buy rentals. I don't. That's my own feeling. I know there's some that are still buying heavy rentals, but for me, that's just not what I'm doing. Then we're also looking at, how do I create a note? So instead of buying it and fix and flipping it, can I buy it, fix and flip it, and then create a note to the end user, and ultimately I become the note holder? There's another way to make money there. And then of course all the title company stuff. So every transaction that we have, I bought into a title company here so that I can get some revenue based off of that. The one thing that we don't have in place right now that needs to be, which is a hard money fund, only because I'm still borrowing hard from somebody else in order to fund some deals. So it's just been easy to kind of plug that in. I don't have my own yet. That's something that hopefully we can get into place in 21.
Wow. So you got a lot of stuff going on. So that just shows that you can have kind of a portfolio of different things that you're doing, different options for sellers.
I also do. We got a rental portfolio too, but that's another business.
Everyone's opinions are going to be different on some of the stuff. For me, I don't think it's a good time to pay a lot of money for a rental right now. But I think if you get the property at 50% of value, then no, why wouldn't you, right? But then you also have to look at other things like, would I buy one in California right now? Hell no, I wouldn't, because you can't get the people out of the property. We're dealing with this right now with tenants all over the place. They just won't leave. Our governor's basically saying, you don't have to. You don't have to pay, and you don't have to leave. So that kind of stuff that's scary. If you get 5 rentals and you've got a mortgage on these things and stuff like that, you owe money, you have debt, and you can't get people to pay their rent, you can't. There's only so long you can pay till you're like, all right, I need another option. So I agree with you on a lot of that right now. And for us, we're buying our rentals in Texas right now because you can still get people out of properties. But the properties are also $60,000, $70,000. So versus a $450,000, $500,000 house here in California. So it makes a big difference in that. So looking at everyone that watches this, I'm sure you gave a lot of good information that's going to be able to help them kind of get to that next level. Now, what would you say, and of course putting you on the spot, because that's what I love to do, what would you say is the biggest, most costly mistake that you have made to date?
Ooh, biggest, most costly mistake. See, to be completely transparent, I haven't had any massive mistakes because I've surrounded myself with the people that have allowed me to avoid those mistakes. To be completely honest with you, actually, I have yet to lose money on a deal that, I haven't lost any money. I broke even. So that's almost losing money. If you look at it, I consider that losing money, but on paper, it's breaking even on one house. That was the only time that happened. Yeah. Probably the most costly mistake that somebody could do is not surrounding yourself with other people that are doing what you're going to do. I keep coming back to that because that is where you level up. That is that, if you don't do that, you're going to run into big issues. You're going to think that, oh, let's go fix and flip this house and make a really bad mistake on, the type of remodel, the type of rehab. You're going to end up losing money or something like that is going to happen. And if you're around people that are already doing it, that can say, hey, no, don't do that because of this, and this. Mm-hmm. Now you avoid that mistake. Period. Okay.
Great. And I know people are going to want to hear some of these general everyday questions. So, you're obviously doing a lot of deals. You've been very successful. What would you say is a good marketing avenue? Direct mail, text, anything like that?
Direct mail all day long. And this is why. One, there's components to it. You need to send it. You need to send volume of it, and you need to send it consistently over time. If you send out one mail piece, it's not going to do it. If you're going to send out, just 1 month at a time and then say this doesn't work, well, please leave because I'll be there. My mail will continue to go out, right? Direct mail is a tried and true thing that has been around for a long time. People love to get something in the mail, feel it, touch it, etc. I mean, if you think about it, if somebody's going to go to their mailbox, they're going to open up the mail, they're going to sort through all their mail and find your mail piece. They're going to they're going to read it, then pick up the phone and call you. They're motivated in some way, shape, or form. I don't care if they tell you to pound sand. That's a conversation that you can have with them and figure out if maybe, there's a reason you could, help them later, or they have a friend, or they know anybody else in the business, etc. But think of the last time that you did that. I mean, it's a long time ago, and the cost per piece of mail is not really that high compared to like a Google AdWords or pay-per-click lead. They're much, much more expensive. So that's what I would do. That's where I started, and we still do a ton of it. My favorite thing in the world is consistent. I love direct mail.
Okay. So if someone came back to you and said, all right, I've been making money on direct mail, but my guru told me to go to RVM because that's the next best thing, and he just happens to have a platform that I could use to do RVMs. I should switch direct mail, right? Because that's what my guru told me to do. What would you say back to that person?
So I would say, listen, if direct mail is working for you already, and you have this new option that you've been told is going to be better, why don't you do this? Why don't you spend 90 days and split your costs? So do half the amount in direct mail and half the amount in RVM, and then you have data to show you what is better, what is going to perform better. I'm going to bet you, though, that most likely your direct mail is going to be better, more consistent, and you're going to probably have made more money in that time. That's how I would do it, because could RVM work better? It sure might, but you'll never know if you don't try it. And if you already know something is already working, why would you stop doing that completely? Pretty straightforward.
It's a good answer. And, for me, so many people shifted over to the RVM wave and everything like that. And I knew that those people were leaving direct mail, right? So I was like, dang, I'm going to double down on direct mail because there's way less competition that's going to be in these inboxes. But the thing that's so nice about RVM and even like text, right, is it gave people that didn't have the money to put into direct mail up front, because it's a heavy cost, right? They didn't have the money to put into direct mail, so they were able to get into the business at a low barrier of entry. And that was good for a lot of people. However, let's look at RVM right now. I mean, RVM is one of those things that is still very questionable. And I've seen people get popped from RVMs, get tens of thousands of dollars in fines from RVMs. Turning off the phone number, and they make it sound so easy. It doesn't work like that. There's still a paper trail, right? And then text messaging, it's great. But let's be honest, text is starting to it's starting to go down. And texting is going to end eventually, and probably it's going to go away. So the next best thing will come out. And people are so into jumping into the next best thing. But the thing is, half those people are probably not going to come back to direct mail. And it's going to give you and I a great opportunity to keep pushing forward with it. I haven't changed my mail piece in over 2 years, and our direct mail response rate is still consistent every single week.
And, I'm always trying new stuff. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're always tried texting, tried RVMs, we're trying to do just direct messages on Facebook. We're trying different stuff. But the key word there is I'm going to try it. While I know something is already working, our Google AdWords, pay-per-click, direct mail, they're always going. I mean, they're always on. We don't ever stop them, but I'm going to try to, take a portion of my marketing budget and put it into something new to try it out. Even within direct mail, right? So like we have our standard letter, standard envelope that has worked forever. We haven't really changed it in like 5 or 6 years. But if I take a portion of the list that we're mailing out every month and try something else a little bit different to see what type of response rate, or do we get better deals or whatever out of that, now I'm going to have data. Because as you know, I'm sure everybody that's listening to this podcast now knows, this is a data-driven type of environment. You need data to show you what's going to work and what's not going to work. If you once you send out stuff and you track it, also very important, you can now measure and see, okay, this works better than this. Let me pour gasoline on that, so to speak, and really watch it expand. It's really pretty simple.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, all right, man. Well, I don't want to keep you for too long, but I appreciate you coming on here, and I really hope everyone watching gets value from this, because we're not bringing on the gurus. We're not bringing on the brand new people in a lot of cases. We're bringing on the people that started in this business and grew the business. And Scott's one of those people that have done that. Like you said, he joined my mastermind. I'm so excited about that. No, this is not a plug for my mastermind. I don't sell that. It's invite only. So Scott got the invite because he's a respectful guy. He's proved what he's doing. And keep working hard, get your name out there, and maybe you'll get the invite too. But for right now, Scott, I really appreciate you being on here, and I appreciate you talking to us about especially the work-life balance stuff, because that is so important. People say, get up at 4 a.m. and work till 2 a.m. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, you need to have some of that work-life balance, but you also have to focus on the vision of your business and growing it forward. So, Scott, thanks for joining today. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone enjoyed this. If anyone wants to follow you, you have your own podcast. How do they find you?
I do, yep. So everybody that's listening to podcasts, check out the Invest This podcast. Type that into wherever you listen to podcasts, it'll come up. We have interview-based podcasts just the same, and reach out to me there. If there's anything I can ever do to help, you have questions on how any part of the business might work, I'm here in the Phoenix, Arizona market. If you're around town, you want to grab coffee, please just reach out, and I'm happy to do so. You can also just go to investthispodcast.com. There's a way to get in touch with me there as well. So please, reach out, let me know how I can help. And Scott, thanks for having me, man. It's been good.
Ask you one last question. Are you selling anything?
I'm not selling anything yet. I have a book coming out, and we're going to put together a plan also in 2021 a package to be able to help people get off the ground, and show them how they can be successful in this business.
So everyone, if you look at that right now, you got two people on here that are not selling anything. We have no links to buy anything, just a free podcast link from both of us, giving back to you guys, helping you guys get to that next level. I mean, how much should I pay you to be here, Scott?
Nothing, dude.
Nothing.
Nothing. Good stuff.
So the only person getting paid around here is Cody behind the scenes right now, which comes out of my own pocket. So if anything, we're taking time out of our day to help you guys get to that next level. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you guys subscribe to Scott's channel. Make sure you're subscribed to mine as well. Scott, thank you so much. Guys, I am Scott Oots. We will talk to you guys later.